मेरी बेटी ने पूछा था मेरी बेटी ने उसने लगा कि 50 मिनट ठीक से बिता और अभी आपको भी टाइम तो क्या आप यही बैठ तो मुझे लगा चलो मैं भी टाइम
Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to a very interesting webinar. Welcome to a very interesting learning session. What are we going to really understand? What are we really going to do? What is it that we require to take back in today's session? We will understand the art of cracking interviews. We will learn the art of putting ourselves as a priority in front of an HR. We will learn the art of what is it that the HR is exactly looking forward to when you go for any interview. Please remember one thing. Tomorrow, whenever you go for an interview, the HR is going to look way beyond your scores. It's not the first classes that really play a very important role. It's not the distinctions that play a very important role. It does not matter from what background you come. It's important what you do during the interview. Your body language, your eye contact, your communication, your content, your flow, your confidence, all these various factors encompass how and when and where you will be perceived by the HR. It's extremely important for all of us to understand that whenever we are going not only for an interview or making a presentation, we require to make an impactful presentation. We require to create that one impression that the person who's listening to us, people who are attending to our program, get mesmerized with the way we put the content in place. I've always told educators, I've always told a lot of academicians, and whoever I meet, I always tell them one simple statement, that it is not the syllabus that you teach which is boring. It is the way in which you teach makes it interesting or boring. I can teach you soft skills using a PDF note. I can teach you soft skills using the traditional 200 PDF notes that we've been following. So what is so different in these sessions? The only answer is the content may remain the same, but the way in which I would be presenting it to you is obviously very different. So what is important is the content and the way in which a content is kept in front of an individual. So when you go for an interview, all of you are taking admission in professional institutions. You can get into the IIMs, you can get into the IITs, you can get into the top management institutes. So when you go over there, what are the people actually looking at? They are looking at different factors. They are not only looking at your marks, but they're also looking at the way in which you are presenting things in front of people. The way in which you put yourself in front of people speaks volumes. The way in which people perceive you speaks volumes. The way in which people want to hear you speaks volumes. So this is exactly what we study today in this 15-minute webinar, 5 tips to crack an interview. Why am I only concentrating on 5 important tips? Because these important tips are going to be so beneficial to you that you will understand what should you do for an interview and what you should ideally avoid doing for an interview. It's extremely important for all of us to understand the impression that we create when you go in for an interview. Let's go back to our film industry. Being Indians, we all like the Bollywood industry. And our biggest actor whom we probably like, or the one whom we follow, not me, but probably somebody else, probably would be Shah Rukh Khan. So if you look at a film of Shah Rukh Khan, he has done a film known as Chak De India. In the film Chak De India, you have Shah Rukh Khan who speaks to his team members. So this film Chak De India is completely a film of a hockey team. This film is a film that deals with the game hockey. So if you look at the women's hockey team, they are going to play the nationals. Unfortunately, they are losing in the previous games, but in the final game, they are winning. So what happens in the climax of this film? In the climax of this movie, you see Shah Rukh Khan walking to his team, looking at his team, staring right into the eyes of the team and telling the girls, 70 minute hai tere paas. In 70 minute mein aapko bazi jeetni hai. I tell you, 70 सेकंड होते हैं आपके पास when you go for an interview. You make it or you break it. What is the impression that you create when you actually stand there and speak about yourself is something that the HR is wanting to understand. You have a film like Uri, again, going back to the Bollywood industry. You have a film known as Uri, wherein you have Vicky Kaushal, who stands over there and says, how is the Josh? Listening to him, the entire audience, whether it could be PVR, whether it could be Carnival Cinemas, however big or however small the theater is, the entire audience says, hi, sir. That's because they can resonate very well. They can feel, they can understand, they can remember, and they can feel the exact emotions which Vicky Kaushal is actually putting inside. And that is the reason the entire audience says, hi, sir. So what is important ultimately is, in English, we've understood one simple statement. And in English, through our schools, through our colleges, through our professional career, we've understood and we've been given just one line. First impression is the last impression. This is what we have been told ever since we were in KG, in college, in school, and whatever it is. But I'll go one step forward and I'll tell you, first impression may not be the last impression, but it surely creates an everlasting impression when you go and speak in front of someone. The first question normally that an HR is going to ask you is, tell me something about yourself, is the everlasting impression that you require to create when you go for an interview. And that's exactly what we are going to study in your session today. What are the 5 top tips that individuals require to hone, develop, understand, learn, unlearn, relearn in order to crack an interview? I'll again harp on a very important fact. If you don't understand the word harp, it means I will stress on one statement. Cracking an interview is not very difficult. It could be a 60-40 ratio. 60% maybe with the HR, 40% maybe with you, or vice versa. But my only statement is, whatever is there with you, that requires to be perfect. Whenever you speak in front of the HR, a few tips will help you to understand how you can really create that everlasting impression in front of the HR. Please remember one thing. When I say 70 second hote hain aapke paas, the way Shah Rukh Khan says 70 minute hai aapke paas, the only difference is they are playing on the field, you are standing in front of the HR, but one thing is in common, that they are making a presentation, so are we making a presentation. So what is important is putting your best foot forward. Why is it that when you are going for a wedding, why is it that when you're going for a party, you dress up very well? It's because you want to create that impression. As an HR, it does not matter whether you're wearing an Armani, whether you're wearing a Sabyasachi, or you're wearing a Manish Malhotra dress and cup. It does not matter to an HR whether you're traveling by rickshaw, by local train, or you're traveling by Ola, Uber, XL. What is important for the HR is what you get during the interview. What is important for the HR is what is it that you speak during the interview. What is important for the HR is the content that you place in front of the interview. What is important for the HR is the flow, the sequence, the understanding, how concise, how crisp, how precise your answer is. This is exactly what we are going to understand in your webinar today. Point number 1, if you could look at the screen in front of you, understand the job inside and out. We've normally hearing and we've normally listening to a very famous ad which comes on the news channels or it comes on the entertainment channels. Mutual funds are subject to market risk. Please read the offer document carefully before investing. But how many times do we really read the mutual fund offer? How many times do we read all the rules and regulations? And we just blindly sign and we go over there. And tomorrow, if you've got to make a claim, we get counterclaim by the company because, sir, we have written it, you've not read it. And that's the place wherein we get confused. You cannot afford such a confusion when it comes to a job. What is a job description? A job description gives you an insight about what you will be performing in the particular organization. I'm working as a soft skill trainer in Edupristine. Tomorrow, if ABCD company calls me as a soft skill trainer, I can't go with the assumption in my mind कि यहाँ पे जो किया, यही काम मेरे को वहाँ पे करना है. Kyun? Because the title is same, soft skill trainer. No, Edupristine is a training institute. So I have to deal with soft skills for students. But if I'm joining another corporate firm, which is not in a training organization, I will have to change, I will have to mold, I will have to edit, I will have to modify my soft skill module as per the requirement of the audience. But if I have not read the job description, would I have been able to do that? The answer is no. So the first and foremost important tip to crack an interview is learn to read, understand the job description very well. You all get up in the morning and the first thing you'll do is you'll forward memes. The first thing you'll do when you get up in the morning is look at your Instagram messages. The first thing you do in the morning is go on to Twitter. The first thing you do is probably go on to Twitter and find out which Bollywood actor is getting married to which Bollywood actress. If you have the time to understand that news, which is not impactful for your life, why is it that you don't invest your time in reading the job description? Every job description is going to state what exactly the role and responsibilities are. Suppose the job description is not clear, go Google. You have the power of Google with you. Google, find out what is this role about? What am I supposed to do? What can be there? What cannot be there? Once you understand all these things, it becomes easier to give an answer to the HR. Because whenever the HR is going to take an interview, the HR is going to ask you a question. Have you read the job description very well? Do you know what the job is all about? Do you know what the role is about? And if you don't know the answer, it becomes difficult to convince the HR that yes, you are the right candidate for this particular job. So the first step before going physically for an interview, before actually listening to an HR, before receiving a recruiter's call, is to understand the job description in and out. If you can read your WhatsApp messages from the start to the end point, if you can invest 5 minutes in your WhatsApp messages, why is it that you cannot invest 50 seconds in creating your own future? LIC पॉलिसी बोलता है 2 बूंद जिंदगी के, मैं बताता हूं 2 मिनट दो खुद की जिंदगी संवारने के लिए. जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन पढ़ो. Stop assuming I am doing this work here, in that company also I may have to do the same thing. It is not the same. It's a simple thing ना. जब आपके घर पे कोई बाई आती है खाना बनाने के लिए, रोटी सेम शायद से रहेगा, मगर भाजी वो घर पे भी सेम रहता है, ये घर में भी सेम रहता है. भैया नमक का फर्क होता है. वो घर में शायद से नमक ज्यादा लगता है, ये घर में नमक शायद से कम लगता है. Which means no two jobs are the same. Understand the job description in and out. Step number 2 or point number 2, know yourself. What do you mean by the concept know yourself? Know yourself means before you go for an interview, you require to study something about yourself. You require to introduce yourself in the mirror. This is the first question which the HR is going to ask you. Tell me something about yourself. And that time, if you're not able to tell the HR your location, your qualification, your work experience, your hobbies, your interests, your internship experience, why will the HR hire you? And that's why I tell all my students, please have something known as a reflection technique. And that is, introduce yourself once in front of the mirror. Identify what are the points which are right, identify which points are wrong, and learn to make that impression in front of your own self. Unless and until you do not introduce yourself in the mirror, unless and until you do not practice this particular thing, standing in front of the HR becomes a little difficult thing. Let me tell you one thing. While introducing yourself in the mirror, if you laugh, that means the HR is also going to laugh. Write down on a piece of paper, my name is so-and-so. I live in Mumbai. I have completed my BCom from Mumbai University. I'm currently pursuing a professional course is business accounting and taxation from Edupristine. My hobbies include cricket and swimming. When you say this again and again, you are able to understand yourself better. You require to know yourself. You require to understand if the HR asks you, so tell me something about your parents. You cannot start the statement by saying, Now, when you use the word excessively, it means you don't know the content. If the HR has asked you, where do you stay? And you say, sir, I stay in Santa Cruz. Aren't you sure whether you stay in Santa Cruz? Aren't you sure where you stay in Ville Parle? What is important is the confidence that you place in front of an individual when you speak. So the art of cracking and interviewing is knowing yourself. What am I? Where do I come from? What are my qualifications? What have I done? What is my work experience? What are my interests? What are my hobbies? Is the second tip. Point number 3. Interview yourself. You require to interview yourself again and again and again. For example, I don't know how many sessions I've been taking for my life. It's been so many years that I've been working, and I have been taking soft skill sessions again and again, again and again, again and again. But you know what? Even before I took this session today from 10:30, I was taking a presentation for myself. I stood in front of the mirror and I gave myself a presentation. I was giving a presentation to myself. Why? It's because I wanted to know what are the areas where I could actually improve. I wanted to understand where exactly I can add value, where exactly I can reduce the value, and how is it that I require to put things forward. You require to interview yourself. For example, if I'm going for an interview and the role is of a soft skill trainer, I require to ask myself, Mihir, what is soft skill training? What is competency management? What is the role? What is the company about? When you interview yourself again, and when you are able to give your answer, if you are able to satisfy yourself, the HR is not a difficult game. Point number 4, practice makes perfect. All of you require to understand one thing. You require to practice your interview questions. Today in the morning, you get up, you have an interview at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You cannot just go there and give an interview. We say practice makes a man perfect. There is meaning to that. As I said before coming for this session, I was practicing this again and again and again. You know why? There may be a few vital points which I should say, which I may forget. I'm a human being. I also get up at 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock. There are so many hours that go. There are so many activities that I do. I get tired. I do everything. I may forget something. But if I practice it, it's like practicing your 2 times tables. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, 2 fours are 8, 2 fives are 10. Why is it that you're able to answer this question effectively? You're able to do it because of your practice. So the next tip to crack your interview is please practice your interview questions again. And it is not difficult. You will ask me, sir, from where do we get interview questions? The answer is Google. If you can use Google to pass your TY BCom projects, if you can use Google to clear your master's projects, why can't you use Google to find out what are the interviewing questions which the HR can ask? And everything is open today. It's like a Pandora's box. The more you open, the more you can explore. That plays a very important role. Point number 5 is visualize. Think, what can happen during the interview? Oh, this can happen, that can happen. Unless and until you don't visualize things, things are never going to fall in place. For example, you've booked a ticket for Dubai. Let's say Meenal is with us right now, who's attending the session right now. Meenal has booked a ticket for the Dubai Expo. Now, when Meenal has booked the ticket for Dubai Expo, she's already started visualizing, oh my God, this is the way the airport looks. This is the way the trains look. This is the way the Dubai Expo will look. Oh my God, I will do this. I will do that. I will do that. There is a kind of a positive motivation that comes to an individual when you start visualizing a few things. You are at home at 7 o'clock in the evening. You want to go to Cafe Gulistan for dinner. You start visualizing the tandoori chicken. You start identifying the rumali rotis, everything and everything. And that's what increases your quest to go to that particular place. Learn to visualize your interviews. Think, what do you think the HR will ask me? How much time the HR will take? In case I make a mistake over here, what is it that I should say? In case this does not work, is there a plan B which is available? Unless and until you do not visualize things, things do not turn out to be a reality when it comes to you cracking an interview. So if you look at the top 5, yes, I completely understand. You'll tell me, sir, even Dressing is a very important tip to crack an interview. Why should I speak about grooming? All of y'all are young graduates. All of y'all know what clothes to wear. If y'all know what clothes to wear for a party, if you all know what clothes to wear for an office work, if you know what clothes to wear to college, if you know what clothes to wear to school, if you know what clothes to wear in a temple or in a dargah or anywhere in a mosque, you know what it means to groom yourself. This is all basic things which I don't want to get into. You're very smart to understand this, but these are certain extra tips that I as a trainer would like to tell you. One, read the job description very well. Understand the job description and do not assume. Once you assume a job description, that's the place where you have a problem. Point number two, know yourself. Know what you are all about. What's your name? What's your location? What's your strength? What's your weakness? Why do you want to leave the job? Why do you want to take a promotion? What about your previous job responsibilities? What is your previous company question? All these things you require to understand. Point number three, learn to interview yourself. It's a simple example which I give all my students. You know, when you have a breakup, you ask yourself, right? Was I really that bad? Was I really that pathetic? If you can see, as a trainer, I give very realistic examples. I'm not going to tell you life is a bed of roses. It's very easy to crack it. It is, but you've got to have some thorns here and there. If you can question yourself at other things, why can't you question yourself when you're going for an interview? Next, practice. Practice mock interviews. The mock interviews are available online today. If we can Google so many other things. Today's generation is so advanced that even a 10-year-old child may know how to operate an iPhone. And probably your elders will not know it because of the advancement which is happening. You know, the generation gap previously used to be 10 years. Now it is barely 5 years. So you've got to learn to practice, practice, practice. I have another session today from 12 to 3. I'm even going to rehearse for that session for 5 minutes. Because what if I forget a vital point which ultimately will play a very important role for my students? My career is set, but I want my students to do it. Last but not the least is visualize. Visualize how the entire interview may go. Visualize, anticipate, think, dream. क्या सवाल पूछे जाएंगे? कैसे सवाल पूछे जाएंगे? मैं क्या जवाब दे सकता हूं? ये क्या होगा जब आप टिकट बुक करते हो शिमला जाने के लिए? You visualize Rohtang Pass. When you book your tickets to go to Jim Corbett National Park, you visualize a tiger. When you book a ticket to go to Tadoba, you visualize all these things. When you visualize things, it makes it easier for you all to approach that particular thing in a better and in a sophisticated way. And why are we doing all this for you? It's because of the statement that I have passed in front. That is, when you do something like this, you will be able to create that everlasting impression in front of the HR. You know why? Because you're already ready. You've already visualized what is going to happen. And trust me, what you have visualized, if it comes true, that means you are moving towards maturity. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, देखा मैंने बोला था ना यही होगा, और जब वही चीज होता है आप शाइनिंग मारते हो. I'm a very free trainer. You do that. So when you do something like this, you are automatically being able to create reality. When you perceive the reality, it's easier for you all to face the reality. Again, I want to tell you one thing. We say first impression is the last impression, but I'll go one step forward and I'll tell you first impression may not be the last impression, but it surely creates that everlasting impression when you go to crack an interview. Again, cracking an interview does not become difficult. It's pretty easy to crack an interview if you are able to ace the interview with not only the subject matter, with also the different tips that have been given to you. So with this, I would like to probably conclude the 5 tips that were important for all of you. In case you all want to understand what is Edupristine, because down here at Edupristine, we have a robust soft skill training program, wherein at Edupristine, we have understood that only training students in hard skills is of no importance. That every institute does. You are investing 40,000, 1 lakh rupees in studying a course. But what is the point if you are not able to tell the HR what you have studied? What is the point of investing 2 lakh rupees in a course if you're not able to convince the HR to hire you? So down here at Edupristine, along with your accounting, finance, and digital marketing programs, we have a very important topic, very important module for y'all, which is taken by our in-house trainer. And we have that program known as a soft skill training program. In the 14-hour soft skill training program, 1, we prepare you for creating that first everlasting impression. We help you with mock interviews. We help you with your CV writing and your resume building activities because, as I say, first impression may not be the last impression, but it surely creates that one everlasting impression which everybody wants to create. In case there's anything, and in case you wish to reach out to team at Edupristine, the website ID and the call center number is right there in front of you. With this, I would like to thank you for attending the session. In case there's anything, please leave a message in the chat box. We shall get back to you by day end. Thank you once again for attending this webinar. Hope to see you sometime soon. Until we meet the next time, please take care, please stay safe, and please eat well. Thank you so much, Meenal. Thank you so much, Nikhil, for attending the session. Thank you so much, Meenal, for appreciating the session. Thank you, Nikhil, for attending the session and appreciating the session. We'll meet sometime soon. Please keep watching the space at www.edupristine.com for more insights, more details about upcoming seminars and webinars, not only on soft skills, but any other topic as well. Thank you so much.